Yo, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of The Movie Newbie. I'm your host, Jibril Tahimi, and this is episode 103. And we're doing the first film in our Korean New Wave theme.
Let's go.
So as usual, we've got the two guys over here. How about you say hello, Raph?
I don't think you got the memo about the beanies.
Oh, shit.
Oh no! Yeah,
Ollie's
you guys
not
are
wearing a
wearing
beanie.
really cool beanies.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't get that memo.
Next time.
it's all right. It's his theme, so no beanies
Yeah.
for the one who
For the one who themes.
themes. But anyways, you've heard Raph. How would you say hello, Ollie?
You always hear me.
I was sitting here trying to think if I know what the Korean term is for hello. I don't think I do.
Annyeonghaseyo.
Annyeonghaseyo, yeah.
Annyeonghaseyo.
Yeah, so that's-
Annyeonghaseyo.
Annyeonghaseyo.
Annyeonghaseyo. I
I'm
don't
not
know if
even
I'm saying
attempt
that.
that.
Has anyone seen shit?
I had a lot of Korean friends in high school, so.
Oh, cool.
what was that?
And then Shibai.
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 Shibai. Well, that was a lot in this film that we watched today.
Shibai.
Yeah. But anyways, Annyeong.
Annyeong.
Annyeong. Yeah, what's that from? It's a TV
It's
show.
from Arrested
Arrested
Development.
Arrested Development.
Annyeong.
Annyeong. Yeah.
Annyeong.
Anyways, we're doing Memories of Murder today, but I'm not going to talk about it. Ollie's going to talk about it right now. He's going to give you the lowdown. And yeah, take it away, my guy.
Yeah. So, Memories of Murder, directed by Bong Joon-ho. You might have heard of him. He's won a few Oscars. This is his second feature film after his debut, Barking Dogs Never Bite. It came out in 2003. It is a crime thriller, although I think it crosses many different genres. It stars Song Kang-ho, who you might also recognize from Parasite or pretty much every major Korean film that's ever come out, and a bunch of other wonderful actors. It's kind of loosely inspired by a series of, well, I think the first ever serial killer case
Yes.
in South Korea that was happening in the 1980s. It's about two detectives, one who's a local and one who's from Seoul, who try to solve a series of murders of young women in, I guess, like a small town, like a mining town or a rural province in South Korea in the late 80s. It's an extraordinary film. It kind of announced Bong Joon-ho as a director to watch. I think Quentin Tarantino, interestingly, was a big part of him getting his films distributed internationally and getting his name out there. He was I know that the reason that a lot of his films back in the 2000s were released in America on DVD was because Quentin Tarantino was such a big fan. He actually named Memories of Murder as one of his top 25 films to come out since
After
1992 or
yeah.
something like that. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously a film that comes with many different plaudits. And yeah, it's just a fascinating piece of work. It's a procedural, unlike any other. Really dives into the, I guess, well, not just this, what was a cold case at the time. We can get into that later because it has since been solved, but also what was going on in South Korea at this particular time, which I didn't know a lot about before I watched this film, but it completely floored me when I first saw it a few years ago. And so I knew that I wanted to talk about it on this theme. But I'll give my initial thoughts on the film a little bit later. But first, I'd love to hear what you guys thought of Memories of Murder. Jabril, let's go with you first.
Yeah. So, honestly, I've just been super excited with the fact that we're doing this theme. I think it wasn't just for me, but for all three of us, we really enjoyed doing Asian films, like our Southeast Asian Gems theme that we've done. Ollie, I mean, you've brought up Infernal Affairs and
In the Mood for Love.
In the Mood for Love. I always get that one wrong, but yeah, In the Mood for Love. So I definitely know your appreciation for Eastern films or Asian films.
And that was your theme, right? Hong
yeah,
Kong, right?
Yeah, that was his. No, it wasn't Hong Kong. It was
Southeast Asian Gem was Infernal Affairs and In a Mood for
No,
Love.
no.
Wasn't it
Infernal
films that got-
Affairs was a gangster film.
Yes, that's right.
Then we did The Raid, Ilo Ilo, and Uncle Boomy Recalls His Past Lives. That was Southeast Asian, and then we
right.
did In the Mood for Love for Heartbreak. Theme?
Oh, this was for my it was like
we did The Squid and the Whale. We
Yes.
did In the Mood for Love.
effed up families.
Oh, effed
Fucked Up Families. Yes,
yeah.
Yeah. So I was just super excited for this theme. So when I watched Memories of Murder, I was like, this is definitely going to be one to watch, especially because I've watched Parasite. Oh yeah, we did Shoplifters as well. That's the Japanese film.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, so this had vibes shoplifter vibes. But what I think one of the main things that really stood out to me was the ensemble shot. So like there was a lot of shots in this film where there were multiple people within it and they're talking. It's not like a cut where it's like one person speaking, the other person speaking, one person speaking, the other person speaking. It was, you see like a group of people interacting, and it just seemed very realistic in like how something would unfold in real life. So I really loved that. It was also really nice to see what's his name, the main actor from Parasite, Song Kang-ho. Yeah, so Song Kang-ho, to see him younger, in a role that was.
Well, I like that he's playing like a buffoon.
Yeah.
And that's like that's one of the USPs of this film, is that it's a really dark and grisly murder mystery, crime procedural.
Yeah,
but it's told from the perspective of a police force that is largely inept.
Yes,
and who don't have the resources or the training or the know-how to actually solve this crime.
Yeah,
which I think is a really interesting 100%. Approach.
So, like, as someone who is a former police officer, someone who is half Asian, there's a lot of things that I connected to within this film. And I just honestly, it was such a enjoyable film to watch. Obviously, I do have a bit of a like armchair kind of moment, but I guess we can get to it there.
We'll dig in.
It's also very nitpicky, but I don't want to reveal too much right now. Ref.
Yeah, I mean, I had never seen this film before. It was on my radar. It had been on my radar for a long time. I'm a massive fan of Bong Joon-ho. I've seen all of his films apart from his two features, which this was, kind of the OG masterpiece, the OG Bong Joon-ho masterpiece, right? The one that kind of established him as a household name, not just in Korea, but internationally. And I think every other film that he's done since has been, previewed at the Cannes Festival and has been received at critical acclaim. And it also established his collaboration with Song Kang-ho as kind of like the ultimate partner up, the kind of partner up that you'd see with Martin Scorsese with Robert De Niro, or Martin Scorsese and Leo, or Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks.
Sorry, side note. Has anyone seen the video of Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio with Scorsese?
Of course.
Yeah, and they're like, "I'm his actor."
Yeah.
No, it's me. Sorry, that was so funny.
but that's kind of what it is. This is like this incredible collaboration, and they went on to make some incredible films together. And I think Song Kang-ho is such an incredibly immersed character actor. He is incredible in this film. I was baffled by his performance. I thought it was worthy of any performances of that time and since. And the story itself gave me Coen vibes. Very very Coen-esque,
100%.
where they kind of it's multi-genre. It mixes different genres, and it also taps into something really rich, which is the dark humor, because it has something real and tangible, but it also does not escape from the fact that, like, yes, these are kind of buffoons, or these are
there's a lot of absurdity.
There's a lot of absurdity.
The process of trying to catch a serial killer.
Absolutely. And I think the first, let's say, half of this film does play on that kind of dark humor, that play on the black comedy, which is it makes the approach to the film so much more digestible. Like, where if it was just dark, because it is a dark theme, it is a dark subject matter. It's about rape and murder of mostly younger women as well. So to balance that with humor is an incredible feat and very audacious.
Well, it's kind of brave. Yeah, it's a brave move that I think not a lot of filmmakers would feel. Well, courageous enough to try and do.
Yeah, and also not just only courageous, but can do.
Yeah.
It's such a fine line to do that well.
Because it's also, you could say it is like, I guess it's before this whole incel culture that has come out in the last like few years, but there's also a bit of commentary on that, like of men who can't speak to women, or like this whole kind of gender, I don't know, it's like admiring from afar, and then it turns into something, especially with the the first suspect
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
film, and
Yeah.
the last suspect as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I wanted to say was, straight off the bat, this reminded me of Fargo and Three Billboards, and so I would love to see Frances McDormand act under
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho.
Well,
I think
he's
that would
he's,
be great.
he's revealing. He revealed his next movie, Mickey 17. With
Is she in it?
No, but it's Robert Pattinson.
And it's
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sci-fi film,
It's a
isn't
sci-fi
it?
film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Robert
They're in
Pattinson's is on his.
Oh, I mean,
He's on a roll.
He,
Yeah.
he's got any pick of projects at the
Yeah.
moment. He's at that level.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah. Sorry, were you going to say more?
No, I was just gonna say to conclude my point. I mean, like I think I witnessed a masterpiece. This was something I was so galvanized by that I just think that this to start like this for a start like this for a director only means that this is someone that is a master. I knew that he was a master, but now watching this film, I was like, oh my god, like he started so strong,
Yeah.
incredibly strong, and to have collaborators such as Song Kang-ho or Kim Sang-kyun or Roha Kim, and I'm pretty sure I'm butchering these names, but yeah, this is a master at the peak of his powers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for someone to come out the gate on only their second film with something like this is pretty astonishing. And before we go to categories, I just wanted to add a few more comments on my own, just because it's such a great film. I think this is kind of like Zodiac before Zodiac.
Yes.
So for those of you who've watched Zodiac, that's one of my favorite films. David Fincher, he came up in the bonus episode we just recorded, and that's one of my favorite films of all time. Similarly, it's about a real life murder case that was never solved. And
years later, I guess.
yeah, in this case, it was solved only a few years ago.
2019.
But what I love about this film is that it's sneakily very political, and that's something you might not get on the first viewing. So I'd love to dive into that a little bit later.
Yes.
But
And I want to add in as Bong Joon-ho is quite famous for delving into socio-economic concepts in his films, and you can immediately see that as well. He paints a socio-economic landscape to his films.
Exactly.
Very nuanced, very, very
and if you weren't aware of what was going on in South Korea in the late 80s, you may not pick up on
would
some
not
of those
know.
things about the student protests, about the autocracy, about the fact that there are not many police around because they're all out there quelling civilian protests instead of
it's definitely
looking for the
not
serial
what
killer.
you think Korea is nowadays, as this like ultra modern.
Well, this is far
place.
removed. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
when Korea was still very low on the economic totem pole. It's a
Yeah.
very small country, didn't have the kind of outstanding
I mean,
reputation it has
back-
now.
If this was 83 that this is set in, it would have been 20 years after the Korean War.
Yeah, it was. I think it was in the
something like
late
that.
80s. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the
so-
Korean War was in the 50s, but yeah.
50s.
50s,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
so 30 years after. So it's like a country that has maybe just stabilized into something that can kick off into the future. But yeah, it was for me, it was such an interesting way to see Korea, because the Korea that you see now with like K-pop, or even if you've seen TV show Pachinko,
Yeah,
you get to see a little bit of Korea before
great show.
and after this time.
So proud of
So
you.
yeah, it's just an interesting snapshot. But shall we move to
Yes,
categories?
let's do it. So I'm gonna hand over to Raphael first to give us his favorite scene from Memories of Murder.
Absolutely. My favorite scene occurs quite early on in the film, and it's the first body that they find in in kind of this field.
Of
and
course,
he's like a culvert.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wait, are you
of
talking about the
course.
very first opening
The very-
scene?
the
No,
opening
not the
scene.
no,
Oh.
not the, sorry, not the opening.
Oh,
scene.
the
Sorry, it's the second.
body
Sorry,
they
it's the
find.
second body they find,
Okay,
and
okay.
it's a one-shot take
Okay.
of the whole.
You love her oneers.
I love
Yeah.
my oneers.
Well, see, because I thought the first scene reminded me a lot of Boy.
Oh shit! Yeah,
so I was like,
yeah.
this is Raph. I'm not gonna choose
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
no, that
Yeah.
makes sense. The whole dialogue between him and the boy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, again, a great scene, but I think
Yeah.
for as I'm a fan of the Oneers, and I knew Bong Joon-ho was going to put a Oneer somewhere in there, and it happened to be in the first 25 minutes of the film, and it's the second body they discover, and it's chaos. It's frantic. It's disarray. The reporters are in already. People are smudging in the crime scene, and then there's people like falling down from that little hill, and
Yeah.
and you see, and it's all led through Song Kang-ho, or Detective Park Doo-man, who like shouts at everyone and says like, "Get out the crime!"
But he runs over the evidence himself.
Yeah,
like,
he does. He
helps
does.
to destroy the footprints that are there.
Exactly. So it's like it's all this chaotic mess of a scene, and that describes the ineptitude of this whole police task force. But it's all just beautifully shot through that perspective, and it's I believe it's a 5-minute, maybe 6-minute one take of this whole kind of playground that's happening and that's unfolding. All to do with a very serious matter. It's the second body they find on this. So it's basically presenting the fact that like we could have a serial killer on our midst, and yet it's just buffoonery. It's a clown show.
And what I love about that is the lead character, Detective Park. At this point, yet like you said, he is a buffoon, but also he's almost grotesquely kind of excited by the opportunities because he's inspired. He was inspired to become a detective because of the TV shows he watches. So he thinks this could be my opportunity to demonstrate my brilliance, to really show people that I can be a real detective. And yet we're talking about 2 murdered women, and we're talking about a police force that have no resources or ability to actually, or have no idea what they're doing.
And again, I think one of the it paints not just the seriousness of the scene, but also the humor of it, because you're seeing just kind of the stupidity that surrounds this task force and this crime scene. And again, like the wall of people that are like kind of sat above the crime scene that are like trickling down. Some are falling down because they're trying to get to the crime scene. So you see like almost looks realistic how they fall, because you're like, did they actually fall, or like did they know about?
I think they probably did.
Yeah, right. That's the thing,
sure.
is that the brilliance like that was captured in that is like real time, kind of maybe like small accidents that were just like, let's just keep rolling. And yeah, and it's a oneer, so that has to, and the performances are all on point in this scene, and yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite scenes, and it really kicks off the whole narrative of the piece.
Nice. Gabriel?
Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna avoid saying the names of the characters because I'm just not gonna do
You're
it.
not Korean.
Yeah. So everyone remembers the first suspect, the son of the restaurant owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, my favorite scene.
The kind of
was
mentally challenged.
Yeah, the one who was
individual.
mentally
Yeah.
challenged. If
Neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like the scene where I think they were in a restaurant or the pub that suspect's dad owned.
Yeah, the meat,
yes.
the sort of the I can't remember what it's called. We have like a
Barbecue?
little grill, like
Korean barbecue kind of place.
Yeah,
I guess.
essentially, yeah.
essentially. And they were looking for suspect number 1, and they're like, where is he? And they kept on asking his dad, and he's like, oh, I don't know, he was around, like he's probably sleeping somewhere. And then they're all having dinner, and all of a sudden this guy just like falls out of like a cupboard on the side, and he's like, oh, they're always fucking he's always sleeping in some random ass place.
Yeah.
But I just really like that scene because it showed a lot of the comedic moments within the film rather than all the dark moments. And I think it was scenes like that. It wasn't really specifically that scene that I really enjoyed, but it was scenes similar to that. So like my favorite like special shout out, which we all love to do on this segment.
Hey,
But like it was these comedic moments like the flying bullet kick that
Oh my god.
Song Kang-ho does like throughout the film, and it was like literally like John Cena, you know, like
I'm amazed that we've made it this far without mentioning all of the drop kicks that happen in this movie.
But
that first one was
I
was like, that was a real
Incredible. I don't think there was any like mat or landing pad
no, I mean, like, I
laid
saw
down for him to fall on.
I saw him fall, and I was like, damn.
and he took it. Like
He took
that
it.
that other actor took that kick.
Yeah, they all
and they
took
just
it. Yeah.
kept acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's the real stuff right there, guys.
I'm wondering if you would do that if a director asked you to, Raf.
But that's the thing. I don't know if Bong Joon-ho went like, yo, you gonna SummerSlam this kid? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure the actor just went like, you, and like just
Yeah.
went for it. And then Bong Joon-ho was like,
Yeah.
keep rolling. Like, I would not be surprised because I'm
Yeah.
like, unless that's fucking choreographed to the T, where like the guy's receiving the kick in a special way that limits the force of the kick. I'm like, there's no way. That actor probably never had it coming. He was just like, I'm in a
Maybe
scene.
they're trained for stage fighting.
Maybe.
But anyway,
But
back
it
to-
looks real as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was gonna say is that usually when it's a film of like, okay, so yeah, so what I wanted to say is like usually when it's kind of like a murder mystery kind of film, a bit of a thriller kind of feeling, the moments of breath, let's say, like where you can take a breath and like slowly feel the what's going on, isn't usually contrasted with something comedic. It's usually just a less stressful situation. And I think that's where my hate for thriller and horror and things like that comes from. But with this film specifically, it's like all the moments of breath comes with comedic moments and it allows you to take in the dark moments pretty well and contrast it with happy moments, you know? So there are the scenes where he's with the sex worker slash nurse.
I think that's actually his girlfriend.
Or is it his girlfriend?
Yeah, I think so. I thought perhaps she might be a sex worker too, but I've seen it in reviews and stuff, and
okay.
That she was actually his girlfriend.
Oh, okay, because he made comments where he's like the whole town knows you.
Girlfriend and sex worker?
I think she was traveling, giving flu shots.
Oh, okay. Well, it was like moments of like lightheartedness in those like tender moments of comedy and
humanity, I suppose.
Yeah. So that's what made me want to watch this film, and go the whole way because everyone knows, at least listeners of this podcast, the consistent ones know that I don't like long films.
Yeah.
But I mean, this film seemed pretty short, and I watched this on the Channel 4 app, and if anybody watches that, you get ads.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, sure do.
So you guys watched this with ads? How was that?
Disgusting.
I mean, it definitely, like, you know,
but also nostalgic in a weird way.
Yeah, weirdly, it felt like I was watching
like HBO
like
back in
Star
Singapore.
Hub.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But it was I couldn't find anywhere, to be honest, on the
I knew that Channel 4 was the only place to watch.
But I was gonna say, like, what you are describing, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong here, Ollie, but I feel like that's Bong Joon-ho's master stroke, is this tonal shifts.
I think so.
He can go from like doing something completely absurd and humorous to something very, very serious and like dramatic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when we go towards more of the latter half of the film, you're getting like a total tone shift. When they suddenly feel like they've caught the guy or this is the guy, it becomes drama.
Well, I think that's a really great decision because it shows the price or the emotional toll that this investigation takes on our lead characters, because where they are at the beginning of the film and then where they are at the end of the film,
absolutely,
they're like completely different people.
They lose
and that's because they don't show them as like these dark, gritty noir heroes at the first. They're just bumbling people, like the ones we recognize, who are incredibly fallible. And then by the end, what they've seen and what they've experienced, I think it kills off a part of them almost.
And I guess the only one that it has true kind of, I guess I won't say as far as intelligence, but maybe true credibility towards this case is the one who gets invited from Seoul.
Well, he volunteers.
Yeah, he volunteers as well. Kim Sang-kyun, who gives off, like, you know, real evidence, real facts, and real intelligence towards the case that obviously challenges Song Kang-ho's character.
Yeah. So I guess I'll give my scene now. I was pretty certain someone else was going to choose the chase sequence, the foot chase.
Very good.
But I'm not going to pick that. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to it because that's an incredible sequence.
And that's a classic Ollie move.
Yeah, I know. You know me. I always come in with 3 different options.
I have 4.
So no, I didn't spend any time on that, so I'm just going to rush right into my actual favorite scene, which is I think the final scene, the ending.
Oh.
I think it's one of the most memorable like epilogues or codas to a film in recent memory. Just to paint the scene for the listeners, it's almost like a retread of the opening scene.
Indeed.
So you cut to the present day. It's 2003. Our lead character is no longer a detective. He's now working as like a juice extractor salesman or something like that.
It's the pursuit of happiness now.
Yeah, and he's exactly, and he's on like a sales call out in that rural province, and he goes to check out that culvert where he discovered the first body, or where he saw the first victim at the beginning of the film. And then a young girl comes up behind him and says that, you know, it's funny, someone just like you was here looking under that culvert recently, and they said that they were, she intimated this person might have been the killer.
Yeah.
And then you see the lead character, very shaken, break the fourth wall and turn to the camera. And I think the significance of that is really, you have to take into consideration the context of when this film came out. that serial killer case hadn't been solved at that point when it came out in 2003. And I think director Bong Joon-ho wanted the audience to be watching that in the cinema, people from South Korea who are familiar with this string of murders, and that he wanted the character to be looking out to the audience and hopefully seeing the killer, because the young girl says the killer. He's like, what did the person look like? And she said he just looked like any person, looked ordinary.
Right.
And so it's the idea that there could be in that cinema theater or at home watching the person who's responsible for those murders.
Wow.
And that's the director trying to reach out to the killer. It turned out they found out who was behind those murders a few years ago, and it turns out this person killed a lot more people than initially suspected as well, and had also seen Memories of Murder. It came up in his trial.
Wow.
And unfortunately, typical sociopath response. They asked him, "What did you feel like when you saw the movie?" And he was like, "I didn't really feel anything. It was just like another movie to me." But this is because we're talking about someone here who's killed over a dozen people. But anyway, I just love. I love the metatextual element of what he was trying to. He was in dialogue with the audience and with the culture at the time, and I think it's a really powerful ending.
Again, a master at the peak of its fucking height. You know, like someone that knows his audience, someone that knows why he's making movies, someone that is trying to reshape cinema for the benefit of the audience member.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, without further ado, should we head to favorite performance? I mean, as often is the case, I think we probably are all thinking of the same person. But...
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I've alluded to it, I think, when I was giving my initial thoughts, but I thought this fucking Song Kang-ho, man, he completely embodies this detective. And, like, yes, I think he falls into a trope of this kind of character with Bong Joon-ho's films, this kind of quirky, maybe not really like a do-gooder or doesn't really know how,
like
morally bankrupt,
but
also like quite lovable, quite affable.
This affability,
because he's got such a teddy bear appearance.
Yes,
actor as
and
well.
and also redeems himself throughout the film. So he starts off as
whenever I watch, like at least from the films that I've seen him in, he's always kind of like gross, not gross, but like
ew.
Yeah, like
a bit of a slob.
I get
that.
Of a slob. Yeah, a bit of a slob. And someone that you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. You know, like you're like, oh,
another
this guy.
You know, that's kind of the, you know, sometimes, and I would love to hear your perspective on this as an actor, Raf. But so he's not what we would call conventionally handsome, right? This actor.
Sure.
He's not got matinee looks. He's not Brad Pitt, let's say, or you know, the Korean equivalent of Brad Pitt, like one of the BTS guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that gives you freedom in a way to explore different. To touch different depths, I suppose,
and to enter the character realm,
right? Exactly. Like
he's
a character actor who's allowed to sort of anchor films on his own, and he does such a good job here.
And to have a director that fully trusts that.
Is this the first time they've worked together?
Yeah, this is their first collaboration.
Yeah, and they've done a few films together since then.
And I think that it shows, right, that Bong Joon-ho probably himself was like, Christ, like this guy's a talent and a half.
Nailed it.
Right? Nailed it. You're going to be in every of my pictures. You know, and I think he was kind of essentially almost in every.
I don't think it was in Mother, but I think
he was. Yeah, he wasn't in Mother, but I think it was such a transformative performance, and he nails every almost bodily movement.
It's very physical performance.
Very physical performance, right? From the way he walks to the way he talks to the way he reacts.
Even like when that shot of him at the sauna.
Yeah.
Looking at evereveryone's dicks,
and then the
trying to judge how much pubic hair they have.
And then that little kid comes through and he even looks at it and he's like...
And then just like him just like slouching in that hot tub, that bath, just watching them.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And to the way he smokes, to the way he interacts, to the way everything...
The way he sings karaoke.
The way he sings karaoke. I mean, yeah, it's a fully immersed, embodied performance.
Like a serious Inspector Clouseau. Like...
Yes,
Inspector
exactly.
Clouseau? Yeah, is
very nuanced, yeah.
I would just to add some variety though, I would give a shout out to I'm going to butcher this name, Park Hae-il, who plays Park Hyun-yu. He's basically the prime suspect,
right?
The one who they seem to think is the killer at the end. Who is what I love about his performance is that it's you even though it seems like he's the killer, he doesn't really give you enough to confirm your suspicions.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't
And
know.
what I loved about it is that he has such angelic features. Such a
that's
a
a
pretty
BTS
young man.
That's a
yes,
BTS
exactly.
kind of guy,
He's kind of got the face that most of the world recognizes as. Well, when we see like
K-poppy.
Korean people on the screen today, he that's what they look like.
Yeah,
basically. Very pretty.
Yeah.
Very angelic features, but it belies something really sinister. And I really like that actor. I only realized on this recent rewatch that he also played the lead in Decision to Leave, a Park Chan-wook film, one of my favorites from last year. So yeah, great performance from him too.
All right. Well, I was gonna go.
With should we just go to favorite quote?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we've just been doing international or foreign films for this recent stretch of episode, these last two themes. So it's hard to look at quotes because I've said this before. I don't understand Korean. I didn't understand French, so I'm not able to meet it at that level. So I'm just going off of the subtitles. But there was one quote that stood out in particular. What kind of detective sleeps well?
There's mine.
That's mine.
Oh shit! Did we all just read the same IMDb quotes
We
page?
sure did.
Well, I actually for once did it as I was watching the film, and I really loved that. Because
then you should really have that one.
So I was like I said in this episode, I'm a former police officer, and there are certain things where you have. I remember one of the things that when I first went into police academy, and we all sat down, and the person that was training us came over, and he was like, "What's the difference between you and the gangsters and people who are outside committing crimes?" And everyone was like, "Oh, we uphold the law. We we protect people and everything." He's like, "The only difference you guys have is that you have a uniform." Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay, it's pretty apparent in this film where, the police officers are it's pretty apparent.
They're corrupt. They're
corrupt.
They torture.
And you can see it right now.
We haven't mentioned that.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that right now
police
across
brutality,
the world,
police
brutality and things like that. But what I found really interesting in this film was the nuance as to why they are shitty cops. It's not because they have millions of dollars like they have in the US. Not because of bad training, but it's literally because they have nothing else and there's other things that are going on and there's a shortage. And it just kind of took me back to when I was in the police force. And yeah, this line, what was the line again? What kind of detective sleeps well? And it's you're being battled by all these negative things that are going on. It actually kind of reminds me of my favorite line from Fargo, because in the beginning of the film, what's Frances McDormand's character called? I can't remember.
Oh, Marge?
Marge. Yeah, Marge. Yeah,
Marge.
So
I love you, Margie.
She literally is passed the fuck out as a detective, falling asleep, and her husband wakes her up and she's like, "Yeah, let me fix you some eggs." And it's kind of like the yin to this yang, where she is a detective and she slept pretty well. And while in this film, it's detectives can't. I don't know what I'm saying. To be honest.
No,
I see the point you're trying to make.
She's
a dichotomy.
She's a good detective. While these guys are buffoons, but also, like you said,
morally
corrupt, literally coercing and forcing confessions by torturing their suspect.
But they don't know any better, because there's even the police commissioner or whatever, the guy.
But the whole institution itself, right? The whole institution itself. I mean,
there was a scene where he comes out and he's like, "Did you hang them up by their feet?"
Yeah,
and he comes out with the ropes. And they're
yeah,
we've tried that already.
But also, it's fucked. They literally torture a mentally challenged person, right? And they don't know any better, right? They don't know maybe.
Well, it's because I think that's also Bong Joon-ho's subtle, not so subtle indictment of the times as well. They're a reflection of the government that was ruling at that time.
For sure. Again, social commentary that Bong Joon-ho presents in his films, and this one is very poignant.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with one of the lines from your favorite scene, where the little girl just says, "just ordinary," because I don't know, it's such a powerful statement on what Bong Joon-ho was trying to say. And he co-wrote this piece. Obviously, it derives from a play.
Well, especially what you just said about looking into the audience and breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That's even it's even more impactful.
And just and just having that as the last line of the film presented to the audience, it's very piercing. So
Absolutely. No, great choice. So armchair moment, final category
Let's go.
for our ratings. So Jabril, I know you mentioned at the top that you had a nitpick that you wanted to address.
Yeah.
I'll just say upright, I don't have any armchair moments. No criticism, personally. But what about you guys?
For me, I would say first the first act, a few of the police stuff was a very predictable. I found like the way that I don't know, maybe it's just because um I feel like I go into films and like I concentrate way more on the first 30 minutes, and then I kind of like sit back and let the film take me. But I found it a little bit predictable with the first few actions that the characters took, especially the police officers. So yeah, but I mean that doesn't really take away from how beautiful this film is. And as you watch the film, you realize that yeah, it is a bit of a trope or it's a bit predictable, but it's that's the purpose of the character, and it shows you what it gives you an understanding of what how the character transforms throughout the film. So yeah, it's not really a nitpick, it's not really an armchair moment for me, but it's more of something that stood out to me when I first watched the beginning. Yeah.
No, that's completely
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, very valid. I don't know, to give this armchair moment some significance, I guess, because for me it's the same masterpiece. You know what I'm gonna give it. I think in order to tie up loose ends or in order to keep the movie going forward, I think having the character that's mentally challenged or mentally handicapped die in front of a moving train. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I guess that's just to say like you can't reveal who the killer is.
It's a bit it might be, you could criticize that as being kind of too neat.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
convenient.
Too convenient.
To have this character who
actually
struggles,
knows the identity.
who knows the identity of
Yeah.
the killer, and then do you perhaps impart to their disorder just sort of accidentally kill themselves
Die,
off
yeah.
screen?
It felt like I felt like I've seen thrillers or procedurals where that's happened. And I'm like, oh, how convenient that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
somehow died. But again,
I think it was more for the character of Song
yeah.
Detective Park.
Detective
Well,
Park.
it's for his guilt, but I think
Yeah.
it sort of that does intensify his feelings
Oh,
of guilt.
for sure.
because
Yeah.
I don't think any of that would have happened if they had not tortured and abused this innocent.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it intensifies all their
Poor
guilt, right?
suspect.
To go to the extreme where at the end they, the detective from Seoul is like pointing a gun at
Well,
the
that-
suspect,
yeah, yeah.
at the suspect, being like,
Yeah.
He's corrupted
he's-
by the case himself.
yeah, exactly. So it does enforce the story, but I also thought like, oh, how convenient, but very loose.
I think maybe today, if this
throwaway.
film were made today,
Yeah.
there might be more of a need or a drive to sort of give the voice of the differently abled person,
Yeah.
to give them more autonomy.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
perhaps.
right. Whereas like moving train, he would get out. He's not that, It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but very a throwaway.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there's nothing.
No, that's completely fair. So, shall we do ratings then?
No.
Lego.
No.
No. You're
Ooh.
forgetting something, man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, mystery question. I thought I was the only one.
So this is a question here for the actor in the group.
Oh, what's up?
I just wanted to know, because of our conversation right now, if you had the choice, okay, between director of this film and what's his name,
Bong Joon-ho
Bong Joon-ho versus Scorsese.
versus. Wow, we're doing a versus.
Well, like, who would you rather work under?
Oh my god.
Or actually,
Oh.
let's just
To even have the privilege.
yeah. Well, I mean,
to
dude,
even be
I
offered, even if
have
it's
been-
just an extra.
I've been championing you on my back since we were like drinking beers at Holland Village
Yeah,
on a Monday night.
100%. That's
Um,
right. We used to drink on Monday nights.
Yeah.
We had
Holland Village Monday.
Holland Village Monday. Oh,
Yeah. Or
man.
like, okay, I don't think I've ever asked you this, but who would be your like dream director to work under? Who do you think would bring the best out of you?
Wow. Like a bonus ode and a half question right there. Shit. Yeah, there's so many out there. There's so many directors that can pull that can give me so much because of the material that they work with. My goodness,
Is this too difficult?
It could be, because it's like saying what's your favorite film.
Okay,
right?
okay.
You know what I mean?
Then let me make it easier for you. Would you rather do a film under an amazing director? Well, okay, so the film that you're going to be working on, amazing director. Would you rather it be in a language like, for example, French or English, or would you mind it being like, most of it is in Cantonese, and you're doing the film in Hong Kong, or Korean, and you're doing it in somewhere in Korea? Like, what would be a challenge for you, but also enjoyable?
I would love to do a film set in Singapore,
Okay.
or set in Southeast Asia, where I play somewhat of an international
Mhm.
figure, because I think that represents me.
Yeah.
Man 47.
There
They
we
shot that in Singapore.
Yeah, they
shoot
did.
that
They
in
did.
Singapore.
Yeah,
They
right
did.
next to Club Street.
I like to see Raph with a shaved
Yeah.
head. He looks good in a suit.
I've had a shaved head before, although never that clean.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, something to do with like the international community in Southeast Asia. Something to do with something that I grew up with, something that I can touch upon, something that I can like bring forth to my artistry and my voice,
Right.
to the world. So I wish, A24 would make a film about, let's say, the international community in Southeast Asia, and be this introspective. I told you about this script
Yeah,
that I kind of like began to write during the pandemic, and it's about that lifestyle that we led. But something like that would introduce the world to the international school system. The international.
I have thought about that myself as well.
There we go.
That story,
Me too.
That story still
story
needs to be
should be-
told.
still needs to be told.
Still needs to be told, and I think someone's going to
Yeah.
tell it, whether it's us or not.
It's us.
Well, let's hope. But I'm just
an
saying,
anthology of short films.
that would be great. So something like that I can pull out of my own perspective in life. And if fucking Bong Joon-ho wants to direct that, or if goddamn like I don't know, some Australian director, or the guy who did Look at Me, starring Thomas Pang. I can't remember his name now. Singaporean director, or even the Ilo director,
Anthony Chen.
Anthony Chen.
Well, actually, it's not Thomas. It's
yeah, sorry, Yao.
Yao.
So yeah, any kind of voice from that world as well to work with them. But anyways, have you?
I do have a mystery question. Don't know why you're implying that I didn't have a mystery question.
Oh no, we weren't. This wasn't
I
a
do
talk.
have a mystery question.
This was just a tangent,
Yeah, it was
dude.
just-
We were just-
Okay, good.
we
good.
weren't
As long as,
waiting-
as long as we're on the same page.
we
that's
weren't
all.
waiting for you or anything.
So this is a completely rogue question. Even though I did come up with it days ago.
You've been mulling over it.
Yeah, it's I put a lot of thought into it. So it may seem a bit dark and weird, but if you were a serial
But
killer,
you are dark and weird. Ollie.
imagine you were a serial killer. Might not be a stretch for you, Raph, but no, I'm just kidding. And in this film, he has a song that he requests before he goes out and hunts.
Nice, good. I see where you're going with
What
this.
song would you pick to, I guess, enact your terror under?
I got one.
Okay, I'm gonna. Wait, do you want to go first? Actually,
I mean, I have one now, but
go ahead. No, please go ahead.
"She's a Rainbow" by the Rolling Stones.
Ooh, good song. Why that one?
Wait. So wait. Before. So you're saying this is a song that, like in the film, like you play it on the radio?
Yeah, he requests it on the radio, and every time you
Okay.
request that song, it's
You're killing
playing.
someone.
You're going out there to kill someone.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know the song. Maybe you do.
Yeah, I do know that song.
Towards the end, it starts to trickle into a bit of a madness kind of. It has like this like bit where it kind of goes off track and off like beat, and it kind of descends into a bit of a maddening, a bit of madness. But it's very subtle, very nuanced. But if you go towards the last 20 seconds of that music, that song, it kind of fades into a bit of dark territory.
Great choice.
Right.
Great
Good
choice.
Piano riff at the beginning. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun,
you can
know?
turn that into a really
You can
creepy
turn that into
motif.
That's a fucking song for a trailer.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I was just gonna say, what's that film? The Jordan Peele film where it's like, I got five
on it.
Us.
Us. Okay, so like
Wow,
that
great trailer.
similar cover. great trailer. It should have been on the last episode, but yeah, that's a great trailer. Something similar, but I want Hey Ya from Outkast, like in a weird, like eerie, like.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh damn! So would that be your song then?
Yeah, like a
nice.
like an
That's
eerie
dope.
cover of Hey Ya.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
All right.
Yeah, but it's like
All right,
I've got so many
Right?
different. I've got so many. I had so many like.
We thoughts
I
running
was,
through your
I was-
head.
I was thinking of like more like songs from the 50s and 60s that seem like really sunny, positive songs, but because they're played
Anything
at a
from the
certain
Beatles?
frequency.
Americano.
But I was thinking like every day by Buddy Holly, but now I'm thinking going on more of the pop side of things, a little bit like what Jabril was talking about. What about Toxic by Britney Spears?
Mhm,
Dun, dun,
mhm.
dun, 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 dun. Just imagine like if you just sort of isolated that string sample and used it while you were stalking your prey. Sounds like we're actually trying to plot a murder. We're not, I swear.
Yeah,
We are
The
law-abiding
FBI man
citizens,
is
but
listening. The FBI
I
man
think we're
is
thinking about it
listening.
from a cinematic perspective more
Yeah,
than anything.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Anyway, good answers. I didn't
Good
know.
answers, yeah.
Did not think that you
Good
guys would have answers for that on the
answer.
fly.
Good answers,
Good
everyone.
answer.
Good answers.
All right. Okay, now we can actually get to ratings.
Yeah,
So what
we
do
can
you
get
guys
the
think?
ratings now. I'm gonna go first. Oh fuck! I forgot the fucking
Totem.
item. Yeah,
Oh, I got it. I
All
got
right,
mine.
well, go ahead.
Yeah,
Brad.
yeah.
I'm going to give it 10 drop kicks out of 10.
Damn it, you fucking bot.
Damn you! I should have said it first. Oh,
Oh
fuck.
my god. Okay, I
Oh,
do.
I got
I had a runner-up totem.
Oh,
Okay,
was that-
let's
was
go.
was
Yeah,
that
of
gonna
course.
be yours?
I was going flying kicks, but no, never mind.
I'm gonna say 10 out of 10.
Woo!
Little foot socks. You know, to beat people.
Oh
with.
yeah, the
Yeah,
little
those,
bag
like-
you put.
Yeah,
Wow,
the little boot sock thing.
Dirk.
guys, we've got a 10 across the board. So I'm gonna give it 10 juice extractors out of 10.
Juice extractors.
Yeah, it's what he's selling at the end.
Ah, right. I was like, when are they making juice? Weird.
Testing.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Hello. Oh, it
Am I dead?
Murder.
just changed devices. But anyways,
Why are we on that?
Hello.
What?
it's on.
Okay. Great.
But yeah, thank you to everyone who was listening. We just had a little kerfuffle over there.
I mean, classic movie newbie. This is
It's
what
the
happens
usual.
when we don't have a.
This is what happens when we don't have a studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We get all silly
Lucy
goosey,
goosey.
silly goosey times.
Silly goose.
But yeah, I hope you liked this episode. I hope you enjoyed this movie. Don't forget to like,
Yeah.
share, subscribe, comment, give us a 5-star rating. You know what to do. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow us on whatever we are on. I can't really think of them right now.
Just don't drop kick us.
Yeah, just don't dropkick us. Don't do that. You don't do that.
And we'll see you next week for Oldboy.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
see you for Oldboy. I was
Live
just gonna
and
say,
direct.
yeah, live and direct. And see you later. Ciao, ciao. Bye, bye.
Hey, hey, hey.